Those 7 things will make you more confident. There is no doubt about it. So if you struggle with confidence issues, if you have low level of self-esteem, if you tend to get anxious in various situations, you have to watch this video. In this video, I'm gonna give you my best strategies, my best mindset shifts, and my best tools that will help you to live a better life. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk to you about is that you cannot underestimate yourself by looking and comparing yourself to other people. The reason is that when you look at other people, you just see that polished angle of them. You don't see their full journey. You don't see all of their weaknesses and challenges and failures. You just see that one angle that they want you to see. If you go for a meetup with someone or you see somebody on Instagram, you see what they want you to see. But what you cannot see is all of the failures, all of the mistakes they've made, all of the challenges that they are facing. Now, when you're looking at yourself, of course, you know yourself with all of your bullshit, right? We are just human. We all make mistakes. I've made a ton of mistakes in my life, and I know that you've made a ton of mistakes. This is normal. This is the game called life. But because you know yourself and because you are with yourself 24/7, it's very easy to focus on the negative rather than thinking to yourself, well, I've done a lot of great things in my life. I'm a very valuable person. I'm worthy of love. It's very easy to switch your focus and only think about all your weaknesses and ponder about all of the failures, all the challenges that appeared in your life that you just couldn't overcome. And because of that, as you look at other people, it's easy to compare your imperfect self to that perfect version of someone else. And this is a problem, especially nowadays in this social media age, when it's so easy just to go out there and see people who live perfect lives. When you go to your Instagram feed, I'm sure that you see people who have all that money and they have health and everyone has a six-pack and everyone is in a happy relationship. What you don't see is that after taking that beautiful photo, that couple that seems like people with no problems, maybe they had a huge argument, maybe they are experiencing their own challenges, maybe they have health issues, but you cannot see that. You just see that photo. When you see that guy over there with a Rolex and a Ferrari, what you don't see is that maybe he has issues with his wife. Maybe one of his kids is addicted to drugs, right? We don't see those things. So when we look at social, especially, it's very easy to assume that everyone is living a perfect life. And then when you look in the mirror, you think, oh, my life sucks. I don't have a Ferrari. I don't make a ton of money. I'm not traveling all the time. I'm not working on my laptop from the beach. I don't have a perfect relationship. I don't have a six-pack. And when you think about all of those things at once, you feel like a failure. And I don't blame you. I mean, it's hard not to feel like a failure, but that's why it's so important to be aware of the fact that you can never compare your true self with everything, with all the good, bad, and ugly, to some polished version, that little angle of another person. Because if you do that, if you compare yourself to other people like this, you will never win in this game of life. And by the way, when I say win, you have to have your own definition of winning, but that's a story for a different video. So this is the first thing. This is the first step. This is a mindset shift that you have to embrace. So from now on, whenever you catch yourself that you underestimate yourself and overestimate other people, just remind yourself, hey, am I comparing my imperfect, full, authentic self to some little polished angle of another person? And if the answer is yes, just bam, snap out of it, recalibrate, realize that everyone has problems, everyone has challenges, and this is exactly what makes you human. If you want to become truly confident, you have to become impeccable with your word, but not just in the context of you promising things to other people, but also promising things to yourself. And I would say this is even more important in many ways, because oftentimes what happens is we suffer from lack of confidence because we just don't trust ourselves, right? Do you have those situations sometimes when you say you're gonna do something to yourself, you commit yourself to, for example, exercising. You wake up in the morning and you decide, you know what, today I'm gonna stretch, I'm gonna go for a jog, I'm gonna eat clean today, I'm gonna write that report, I'm gonna do something, and then you don't do it. So then the next time when you promise something to yourself, you find it hard to believe yourself. Someone's like, yep, today I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, but deep inside you feel like, but will I? I mean, will I? Because historically speaking, I don't do what I say I'm gonna do. So it's a little bit tricky, right? And we all have those situations. Look, myself as well. We all go through those harder times. But I do believe, and I know this actually from experience, that when you start becoming really impeccable with your word, when you start making promises and delivering promises that you make to yourself and to other people, your confidence will naturally grow. This is probably one of the simplest ways to grow your confidence. You see a lot of people when they think about building confidence and self-esteem, they just focus on internal dialogue, proving your self-image and your identity and all of those things. But it goes further than that. Building the discipline to do the things that you know you should be doing, right? That's one thing. Building your competence, that also helps with your confidence. So again, when you make those promises to yourself and when you deliver on them, you just feel like a more powerful person. You know, for example, myself, I had different phases in my life. And my recent phase, I'm happy to say, is that I make promises and I deliver on those promises. And oftentimes I over-deliver. For example, making those videos. This is 2022. And so far this year, I've made probably close to 400 videos. 400 videos in La Palma. When you think about it, that's crazy. To a lot of people, this sounds like excessive. How can you do 400 videos like this in nature with wind and sometimes kids screaming and dogs bark and getting cold and getting too hot and all of those issues that happen when you film outside? How can you do this? But I did it because I promised to myself that I'm gonna do it, and I just kept pushing, even though sometimes I didn't feel like doing it. This fuels me with this tremendous level of confidence, that extra injection of confidence, because I know that when I promise something to myself, even though it's really hard, I deliver on those promises. So I encourage you to really embrace this. And obviously everyone has different situations. Maybe you're watching this thinking, well, Jimmy, I'm already doing this. And if that's the case, awesome, that's awesome. But if you are not doing it yet, I encourage you to start small and start with those little promises. For example, tomorrow I will do X and I will not do Y. And start with that, but make sure that you approach it in an extreme way. No compromise. If you say to yourself, well, tomorrow I'm going to work out no matter what, even if it's a really busy day, even if you don't have the time, and even if it's just 5 minutes, do your workout. If you decided that you want to start journaling, right? I'm giving you random examples. Journaling. Then again, you may feel like I don't have the energy, I don't have the time. Do something. Just if you have to slap yourself in the face physically just to stay awake and journal for extra 5 or 10 minutes, do it. Because afterwards you will feel like, oh wow, I said I'm going to do it. It wasn't easy and I did it. Interesting. So now when you look in the mirror, you start seeing a different person. And I'm telling you that over time, it will dramatically change your self-image, right? Your self-image will go from, well, I say I'm going to do things and I promise things to myself and to others, but I rarely do them. You know, this is what it is. I'm just a lazy person. It's going to change from that to, you know what? Whenever I say I'm going to do something, I do it. My word is worth a lot. I deliver on my promises to other people and to myself. That's going to be your self-image. And that self-image will impact your confidence in everyday life. Whether it's confidence, situational confidence, and just confidence in yourself, just walking through life feeling like you are a capable individual. I want you to become an actor. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that I want you to become fake. I don't want you to inauthentically pretend to be somebody else, but I want you to learn from amazing actors. Because when you look at them, you realize that they can play completely different roles for different movies. In one movie, a great actor can play a vicious mafia chief, but in another movie, that same actor can play an older man who suffers from depression and anxiety. So it's interesting, it's the same person, but as you are watching the movie, you see two completely different characters. So clearly, it's within our capacity as humans to become different people. Now, I want you to use this principle to improve yourself and to start becoming the person that you want to be. Because no matter how anxious you are now, no matter how low your self-esteem is, I guarantee you that if some Hollywood agent came up to me and they said, you know, listen, we have a great role and we need a person just like you for that particular movie. We will fly you in a business class. We will pay for 5-star hotels. We will need you on a set just for a week and you will play a very small role, but you will play a role of a confident person, a person that's optimistic and positive and confident and charismatic, and that's going to be your role in that movie. And we will pay you $1 million, okay, for 1 week of work. Now, would you take that offer? Now, I know that some people say, well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I don't need the money, right? But in reality, if this actually happened, most people would say, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I will do it. I'm going to figure out a way. $1 million in a week, Hollywood movie, I can do it. But now here comes a challenge. They flew you in that business class, and now you got to play that confident, charismatic, optimistic, positive person. How do you do that? I'm sure you would get yourself to do it. You would figure it out. You would figure it out. Why do we have to wait for $1 million offers to figure it out? We can literally do it right now. Okay, we can do it right now. I want you to take that page from the book of great actors, and I want you to ask yourself, how can I become the best version of myself? What do I have to do? What do I have to do to feel and to appear more confident? What do I have to do? And I'm sure that you will figure this out. You'll figure this out. For example, right now, if I try to pretend, let me play around a little bit. Let me pretend that I'm anxious and this is my first day presenting, okay? Hey guys, hey, what's going on? Welcome to this course about building your confidence, and this course is made specifically for people who are anxious, right? Okay, I just made this up, right? Pretending. Back to myself. And you see the difference, right? Clearly, I could pretend not to be confident. Well, now I'm back to my confident self. And there's a massive difference, and I could do that. And you could do it both ways. If you could do it that way, you can clearly do it the other way. It's just about embracing certain body language, certain internal dialogue, certain type of energy and emotions, and you can do that. You can do that. So right now, as you are there watching this video, I want you to just pretend for a moment, just pretend that you are an actor and pretend that you gotta be confident and you gotta be optimistic and you gotta believe in yourself. You have to be charismatic. And I want you to do what you would do in that situation. Adjust your body language. All right, take some deep breaths. What is your internal dialogue? Right? What is the type of energy that you would have? Just fake it. Even if you don't feel like doing it, just fake it and see how you feel. And then say something. For example, introduce yourself in that state. And just see the difference. You can do it in front of a mirror. You can film a little video with your phone. But I want you to see the difference. And you will see the difference. Now, to this day, I have those situations when I use this principle to get an extra injection of energy and power. So, for example, when I'm about to get on a stage, oftentimes I literally ask myself, I say to myself, well, I feel confident, I feel powerful, I'm gonna nail it, I'm gonna help all of those people, I'm gonna make it valuable for them. But I also ask myself, what would Denzel Washington do if he was getting on that stage, right? Or Matthew McConaughey, and a bunch of other people, Al Pacino, right? I have a bunch of role models, and ask myself, what would they do, right? Or Jamie Foxx, right? Wow, Jamie Foxx, incredible stage presence. What would they do? And suddenly I realized, well, yeah, they would get on a stage and they would have this incredible charisma, and they would joke around and they would captivate the audience. And I can feel it. I'm like, okay, how can I get more of this? I already feel good, but how can I feel even better? Right? So when I get on that stage, I may be standing straight, but I will stand straighter. Right? I may already have good energy. I'll try to make it better. So it's all about that. And again, I'm not telling you to pretend to be somebody else. It's all about being authentic. But you can use this principle in order to boost your confidence in the moment. And then over time, as you keep using this little strategy, you will also see that your level of confidence will be changing to the positive. A lot of confidence comes from competence. Then you see, people often focus on just inner belief and how you see yourself and your self-image. And all of this is very important, but I feel like people underestimate the importance of developing competence. You don't want to be confident when you jump off a plane without having any competence, because if that's the case, you'll probably kill yourself. The same thing goes for any sports, right? Anything you do in your life. If you want to get on a stage, for example, and present in front of an audience, and you're very confident, but you don't have the competence, you'll probably make a fool of yourself, because you go in there, yes, you're talking a lot, but nobody really believes in what you're saying, right? So confidence has to come in pair with competence, and you develop competence by doing the damn thing and doing it regularly, okay? So if you want to be confident, then you have to get good at things that you want to get good at. For example, if there is a skill that you want to learn, or if there is some type of knowledge that you should have because of, for example, the work you have or the business you are in, then you should really work on developing that knowledge, right? Developing that skill, because the more you do it, the more competence you will have, and that competence will give you more confidence. But it's not just about that. It's also about the fact that when you say to yourself that you will do certain things, when you keep improving yourself, then you value yourself more, because by the end of the day, when you look in the mirror, you can truthfully say to yourself, hey buddy, you've done a good job. You've been working hard. You haven't been slacking today. You've done a lot. And this is exactly what you want to have in your life, right? You don't want to be squandering your time. You don't want to be wasting your time and then trying to be confident. Because yes, you can psych yourself up and you can do affirmations 5 hours a day. But if there's no substance, then it's going to be hard to feel confident. That's why I always say that on the one hand, yes, you have to believe in yourself. You have to love yourself for who you are. You have to accept accept yourself, but at the same time, you have to keep developing yourself. You have to keep working on yourself. So please don't underestimate it. And what I notice in my own life is that one of the best ways to build confidence is to actually keep little promises you make to yourself. So for example, I'm sure you can resonate that sometimes you say to yourself, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and then you don't do it. You promise to yourself that you will write 2 pages today, or you will write that really important email, or you will ask your boss for the pay rise, or you will talk to that stranger that you see and you feel attracted to, whatever it is, and then you don't do it. And then there's another situation and you promise to yourself, I'll do it, I'll do that thing, and then you don't do it. And then again, you say to yourself, I'm going to work out today, and then you don't work out. And then you say to yourself, I'm not going to eat that donut, and then you eat 5 of them, and then you eat some chocolate, and then you drink some beer. And whenever you do that, whenever you break promises that you make to yourself, your confidence suffers because in a way, inside of you, you know that you cannot trust yourself. How could you possibly trust yourself if you keep breaking promises that you make to yourself? And that lowers your self-worth. You don't respect yourself, because the question is, if somebody kept promising you something and never delivered, would you respect that person? Probably not. So if you make promises to yourself and you don't deliver, you just don't respect yourself. And guess what? That negatively impacts your confidence. So one easy way to get started is to create little promises to yourself on a daily basis. You don't need to start with deep water, but for example, if you never work out and you really want to get in shape, promise to yourself, hey, today I'm going to work out for 15 minutes, and then actually do it. If you do more, great, but do at least 15 minutes. If you promise to yourself that you will eat healthy today, when you see that donut, just, if you have to physically slap yourself in the face and look the other direction, walk away. Because every time you keep promises to yourself, you will feel more powerful, and it's addictive. This feeling, honestly, this feeling gets addictive. It's a beautiful feeling. When there are things that you know you should be doing or shouldn't be doing, you stick to your word, even though no one is watching. You stick to your word because of your principles, because you want to trust and believe in yourself. I gotta tell you, this is such a confidence booster. It's unbelievable. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and make sure you implement. Don't just listen to this, make sure you implement it. Let's talk about something that's called the pacifying behavior. So Joe Navarro talks about it a lot. He is the ex-FBI agent. He is really one of the best experts on body language in the world. He wrote some incredible books. I highly recommend that you get them if you are, obviously you are interested in this topic because you're watching this course. Great knowledge in there. So pacifying behaviors are those behaviors that we engage in to make ourselves feel comfortable. And usually what happens is we engage in those behaviors in situations of discomfort or right after we experience some type of discomfort. So let me give you an example. And actually, I want you to do it with, have you ever done something like this? Just do it with me right now. Have you ever done it in any situation? And the chances are, yes, you probably did it. And typically we do this when we are stressed out, when something bad happens, right? Maybe you almost had a car crash and then you stop and you do this, right? Or maybe you had a really important phone call that didn't go the way you wanted it to go. And right after disconnecting, you just sat down, looked down and wow, this was hard. This was hard, right? So we engage in this behavior whenever you want to make ourselves feel more comfortable. And I have to say, when you breathe like this, just you breathing out all that warm air pressing against your lips, it kind of feels nice, right? It feels nice. It feels calming. And this is precisely why we are doing it. Now, the problem is when you do this in front of other people, you also reveal exactly how you feel. And when you're doing some type of business negotiation, you have an important discussion in your office. Maybe you're talking to potential business partners or vendors or whoever it is. When you do this, you are showing to everyone that something is wrong, and they may not even pick up on it consciously, but subconsciously people can sense that something is wrong. They can sense that something is not going your way, that you are stressed out, that you may feel a bit defensive, that you don't feel at your best. So just being aware of this will help you to prevent those situations from happening. Now, you may be asking, so can't I never use this behavior? I enjoy doing it. And the answer is, of course you can do it, but do it in a private space, not when you are in the boardroom full of people, not when you are getting on a big stage in front of a lot of people. Do it in the bathroom. You can go to the restroom, you can take a minute and just and just do this and calm yourself down. Take a few deep breaths, breathe out. You can do all of that, but don't do it in front of people. Now, another very common pacifying behavior is just touching your neck. And there are different forms of this. Some people touch their necks here. A lot of women, for example, like to play with their necklaces, right? It's a form of pacifying behavior. A lot of people touch themselves here, and this usually suggests that you are a bit confused. You are not sure about what to do, what is the best course of action. So if you do this in a meeting, it basically shows, well, I don't really know what I should be doing now. You see the problem here? If you show it to everyone, well, everyone knows, even just on the subconscious level, that you just don't know what you are doing. And if you are a leader, if you, for example, are running a team meeting, when you do this, you show to other people who in a way rely on your leadership that you don't know what the hell you are doing. So avoid those types of behaviors. Now, again, you don't need to fully avoid them. If this makes you feel good, touching your neck, if it makes you feel good, and it feels good, you're essentially massaging your neck. You can do it in a private place. You can go to the restroom and you can literally massage your neck. In fact, sometimes what I like to do in stressful situations, I go to the restroom, I take a few deep breaths, and I like to massage my temples and my neck a little bit, and it just gives me that extra comfort, okay? You can definitely do that. A lot of men use the pacifying behavior of just trying to adjust their tie. And you can see that someone is really stressed out when their tie is perfectly situated. There's nothing wrong with their tie, but they keep playing with it. They keep adjusting. They keep playing with the collar as well. When you see that, that basically communicates that that person is not very comfortable in a situation, or that something that happened directly before just didn't make them feel comfortable, freaked them out in some way. So I'm talking about pacifying behaviors in this video because it is important that first of all you identify them in your own life so you can avoid doing them, but also when you see them in other people, you will know that this is probably a sign that they don't feel comfortable. Hey, what's up everyone? I really hope that you are getting a ton of value from this video, and make sure that you click on that bell notification, that you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on more of those videos. Having said that, let's get back into the core video. Let's talk about self-awareness. Now, if you want to get somewhere, first you have to realize where you are right now. You have to become self-aware. And this is especially important in the context of increasing your self-esteem, your confidence, becoming better socially as well. Because again, if you want to get somewhere, well, you need to know where you want to get. So you have to define your vision for what you want, who you want to become, but at the same time, you need to know what is your starting point. So important, because oftentimes we don't take the time to figure out what is really holding us back, right? We try to push those things aside. We may have a feeling what is holding us back. We may secretly know what are our limiting beliefs, but these are those demons that we don't want to invite into our lives. So we pretend they are not there, right? So you push them away, you buy courses like this one, you buy books, and you try to improve yourself without ever addressing the core issue. So in this video, what I want to talk to you about is this importance of figuring out where you are right now, becoming more self-aware. Now, self-awareness is powerful. It's powerful, and it's one of those things that you always have to work on. You don't just sit down one day and decide, okay, I'm gonna gain more self-awareness. So you do a bunch of exercises and you think about your life, where you are, and then you are good for another 10 years. No, you have to keep going through this process, at least from time to time. It's so important because it allows you to understand yourself better, to understand your own demons, your self-deception mechanisms, what is governing your actions, what are your insecurities, why you do what you do, what makes you tick. These are important questions to ask yourself, because when you ponder about those questions for long enough, you will start finding some of the root causes of some of the challenges that you are experiencing. As I mentioned, over the years, I've been doing a lot of self-awareness exercises, answering all types of questions, going really deep, thinking about my past, right? What makes me tick? What is the foundation of some of the challenges that I'm facing? And one of the examples is that as I was pondering about my past of growing up in post-communist Poland, going to school there, I realized that one of the reasons, probably the core reason why I was always afraid of presenting, which by the way may come as a surprise to you, but yes, I was afraid of presenting. I even ran away from a stage one time. That's how bad it was. But one of the reasons was that back at school, teachers would often put us on a spot. They would literally say, hey, go to the front of the class and read that thing. Or we actually had singing classes. And imagine you have a class of 30 people, public school, and teachers would tell you, stand up and start singing. And imagine if you don't don't know how to sing, everyone is looking at you, and you are forced to sing. It's a traumatic experience, right? So I had those experiences, and also when you combine that with the fact that I always felt like an outsider. I always felt like the weird kid because I'm half Polish, half South American. My father's from Guyana. So a lot of kids were racist towards me. They would ask me, hey, where are you from? Why don't you go back to your country? Like, why is your name Jimmy? So as a young kid, I've learned that I'm different. I learned that I'm an outsider, I'm different, I'm weird. So when you have that negative self-image and then the teacher tells you, go in front of the class and start singing, right? Or go in front of the class and present about whatever. You develop that tremendous fear of going in front of people. There's this fear of judgment, the fear of rejection. Well, you feel rejected pretty much every day, right? So now it only multiplies. So I realized that that was the problem, right? That was the trauma from the childhood that affected me even when I was in my 20s. And fortunately, I managed to overcome that, but understanding the root cause helped me on my journey. So please embrace self-awareness. Just this will give you a bit more clarity. If you are not a very assertive person, if you're not very outgoing, if you don't take a lot of initiative, I want you to start proposing. Now, I'm not saying that you should get on your knee and start proposing to strangers. I'm talking about proposing various ideas, solutions, etc. when you are in a group of people. It could be something as simple as you sitting with your team members, pondering where you will go tonight, which restaurant you will go to. Maybe normally you are sitting in the corner, you don't really want to say too much, you don't usually talk, you let other people make decisions. I'm not saying that suddenly you have to switch 180 degrees and stand up and say, listen everyone, tonight we will go to this Italian place because they have the best pizza. I'm not talking about a radical change, okay? It won't be very natural. I'm not saying that you should be making decisions for other people, but you want to start proposing various solutions because this will allow you to embrace some of your inner leadership, get out of your comfort zone, and also it's going to change the perception you have of yourself, right? You will perceive yourself more like a leader, more like an assertive person who can come up with solutions, but also other people will change the perception of you. So in this particular example, what you could do is when everyone is kind of chit-chatting, hey guys, so what do you want to do in the evening? You guys want to go and eat somewhere? What you can do is you can just say, hey, listen everyone, I just want to propose something. There are two great places I've recently discovered. There's this really nice Italian place. They have the best pizza I've ever tried in this town. And there's another place that has literally the freshest sushi in this entire region. No pressure, but I highly recommend those places. Would you guys like to go there? Could be something as simple as that. Now, you're not telling them, we got to go there or we got to go there. You give them solutions. Now, the same thing applies to business situations. When you're sitting during your team gathering and people are discussing something, maybe the direction of the project, rather than just sitting in a corner, being the passive person, never speaking up, you want to force yourself, you want to push yourself out of your comfort zone to speak up a little bit. And again, you don't have to propose a solution. You don't have to say, listen, everyone, I believe, and based on my experience, I really think we should go this way. No, what you want to do is you want to propose some type of solution, but without the pressure. So what you may do is you may raise your hand, say, yes, Samantha. I was like, look, everyone, first of all, thank you so much for sharing all the suggestions. Here are two suggestions that I have that we don't have to take on board, but I feel like it's important to share it with everyone. Number one is this. Number two is this. Curious what you think about it, right? You can make it even shorter. But the point is, you want to get comfortable with proposing. And when you start doing it, starting really, really small and building up, eventually you will get to the point where you will feel so much more comfortable with your communication, with sharing your opinion, with proposing various solutions, and becoming a leader.